In the lonely weeks and months leading up to a game's release, it can be easy for doubt and fear to creep into the hype centers of our brain. After a tumultuous year of glitches and delays, we've begun asking ourselves the tough question again and again. What if some of our most anticipated releases of 2015 actually suck? This is nowhere near our final word on any of these games, and we wish, dream, and hope that they're all incredible, but at the start of this new year, these 10 are either holding back too much information or don't seem like a complete enough experience. Each of these games could also wind up in our top 10 anticipated list. It's just something about them has us nervous. No Man's Sky will most likely be amazing. Even if it delivers half of what it promises, it will still be top tier, but the hyped space train is flying dangerously close to the sun. There's a horrifying but very real chance that the game could be too big. It could fall victim to repetitive or empty gameplay. Go to this planet, nothing happens. Go to that planet, nothing happens. This is based entirely on the way the trailers have been structured. We've seen hints of gunplay, mining, harvesting, terraforming, and interstellar diplomacy, but no tangible evidence. Our expectations are high, but we hope it doesn't end up like butter scraped over too much bread. It's easy to react poorly to victory after the negative feedback from 2014's Unity, but even when taking a more objective look, it's still a challenge to remain optimistic. While the game is over 3 years into development, it appears to follow Unity's limit of one major city, which reduced the scope of the game, and a severe lack of progression on the core storyline over the past 3 games makes each one consistently more disappointing than their predecessors. Hope for redemption lies in gameplay refinements and a greater focus on the modern storyline, but we've said the same thing for years now. The era sounds interesting, and this could mirror the glory of Part 4 after the strangeness of Part 3, but we won't know for a while.
Oh, you could be. The villain.
The Fable series has been content lately doing everything but making choice-driven, charmingly epic adventures like the one that got it started 11 years ago. Fable Heroes didn't impress, Fable The Journey reminded us to avoid Kinect adventure games, and Fable Anniversary is just reliving the past. Fable Legends is more forward-thinking, experimenting with the 4v1 trend that has occupied many developers, but what we've tried so far doesn't hold our interest for long. Considering the paltry updates we've gotten since it was first announced, we're afraid there won't be much included in this otherwise unique fantasy multiplayer battleground. Even with new maps, monsters, and magicians, it's hard to see this being the heroic release the series needs. Dying Light promises a new take on the undead genre, this time transporting players to an open-world, urban quarantine zone, where one's ability to survive is innately dependent upon their seemingly God-given parkour skills. However, jarring and distracting first-person visuals, an overly exhausted zombie fad, and of course Techland's sordid history with their genre piece Dead Island, makes us skeptical. That being said, we see potential in the dynamic day and night cycle, a refreshing focus on melee, and of course, the game's similarities to Mirror's Edge. Whether Techland can disassociate itself from the Dead Island franchise remains to be seen, but we hope Dying Light proves to be the dawn of a new day.
There it is! Destroy the hell out of it! Extreme prejudice and such!
Focusing its announcement on its characters and concept, Gearbox has fallen victim to an unfortunate comparison. Simply put, Overwatch is Beyoncé, Battleborn is Solange. While Battleborn's self-touted character designs and environments feature art that is technically unique, it still somehow fails to interest us. But hey, at least Battleborn's disproportionately muscular guy with the Gatling gun has the tiniest head of all the other disproportionately muscular guys with Gatling guns. The gameplay clips we've seen feature tired, tongue-in-cheek, none of this really matters banter, which is harder to stomach over footage of these shooter heroes taking shots at predictably spawning waves of unthreatening little robots. Unless Battleborn is able to find an elevator fight with Jay-Z, it may end the year as another forgotten AAA hopeful, remembered only for how tiny that guy's tiny head is.
Are you afraid? You can tell me. Talk to me.
What are you talking about?
Those bracelets change color in response to fear.
And who exactly are you?
So much suffering. You don't even know
know what to be afraid of yet.
Despite the positive response for the first Revelations, it's still one of the weaker entries in the franchise. Its sequel looks like more of the same, and even though the developers want us to believe Resident Evil is going back to its roots, covering the environment in blood doesn't cover it. Combat looks dull and generic, and enemy variety is severely lacking. Most troubling is Moira Burton's questionable dialogue.
Well, that blows.
In an attempt to win over core fans, Barry Burton has been brought back, but at this point, it feels unearned. The plot seems weirdly similar to Claire Redfield's last adventure, Code Veronica, but with a villain reminiscent of a Saw movie. Hopefully the plot comes together in a meaningful way, and Barry's return is a memorable one. Set in an augmented Victorian setting with distinctive takes on technology and the supernatural, The Order has some great ideas that have intrigued us from the start. It also doesn't hurt that it's one of the most graphically impressive games we've ever seen. However, it's this emphasis on cinematic quality that worries us the most. The seamless transition between cutscenes and gameplay can make it feel like control is being taken away from us just as things are getting good. And the shootouts we've played so far have been thrilling in parts, but feel somewhat by the numbers, despite the inventive weaponry. We want gameplay that's as inspiring as The Order's world and visuals, not just a cool movie to show our friends. There are moments from Evolve that have taken our breath away, completely dominating the hunters as the monster or dodging a massive incoming alien attack as a puny human both get our hearts racing. Even just patrolling the maps looking for trouble can be quite tense. But it's rare that we've played so much of a game before it's been released. Now that we're on the eve of launch, we're not sure what else Evolve can do to surprise us. We were in the same spot last year before Titanfall and Destiny went online. We questioned how much repetition we could endure before moving on. We ran through the gauntlets in Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 dozens of times before they got stale, so maybe we just have the jitters. We'll assuredly be locked and loaded on February 10th, ready to sharpen our senses. We just aren't sure how long the hunt will last. We're fans of Remedy Entertainment. Max Payne 1 and 2 were revolutionary, and Alan Wake was bizarre but hauntingly beautiful. We want to be fans of Quantum Break, especially with Remedy experimenting with the time-altering third-person shooting that put them on the map. However, we've been told more about how amazing Quantum Break will be than we've seen, and the supposed synergy with the television show we've seen little to nothing of doesn't instill us with much confidence. It doesn't look like we'll be forwarding or rewinding as much as maneuvering around anomalies, and some of the abilities might make the game too easy or the combat too simple. This game is a mystery, and not because it's a detective story. Alan Wake wandered in the forest for a long time before finding a concrete release date, and we think Quantum Break will be similarly trapped in time.
I'm in position. I've got eyes on targets. Take the shot.
It might sound harsh to say Battlefield Hardline looks like an expansion or mod, but everything we've seen and played makes us feel that way. For a game about cops and robbers, the featured heist mode isn't really a heist at all, but a glorified version of Capture the Flag. From our hands-on time, the grappling hook isn't particularly functional, and the urban environments feel like hollow spaces clearly made for a video game. Visceral Games has taken up development duties, and the studio's Dead Space pedigree has been used to hype up the story mode. Unfortunately, lead character Nick Mendoza and the police corruption plotline might be one giant cliche after another. Battlefield 4's tumultuous first year is still on the forefront of our mind, and the recent delay for Hardline isn't a promising sign. Hopefully, we get to live out our bank-robbing fantasies with more unannounced multiplayer modes, but until then, we're scared this job could go south real quick. We might be a bit worried about these games, but there's still plenty to look forward to over the next 12 months. All next week, our Ultimate Game Preview is set to give a genre-by-genre breakdown of the year ahead, and next Friday, we'll pick our most anticipated games of 2015. Plus, you have a chance to make your voice heard. Click the link below and vote for your most anticipated games to be featured in our community countdown coming in 2 weeks.